Let's go!
My son sacrificed his life to save me. His powers are not a gift, but a curse. Born out of rage. You're about to die. This loose cannon needs to be locked down before innocent people start getting hurt.
It's been asleep for 5,000 years.
You promise to sell that can hold him, we'll take care of the rest.
Who's on the team?
I didn't bring a passport.
You don't need passports. You're the Justice Society.
We're here to negotiate your peaceful surrender. I'm not peaceful. Nor do I surrender. Here we go. I kneel before no one.
You didn't come here to seek justice. You came to exact revenge.
I never said I was a hero.
You believe you are not worthy. But fate does not make mistakes. You have 2 points.
You could be the destroyer of this world.
Or you can be its savior.
I loved it. That was amazing. We're going to talk about it. Welcome back to Movies TV Man. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Man, and welcome to Friday's show. Yes, today is a total focus on DC, and I think you'll all be relieved about that because we've been talking about some other things in the past few episodes, and that's okay. But when we got DC news, when we got DC to focus about, by God, we are going to focus on DC. You just saw me reacting to the final and second full trailer of Black Adam, and I freaking fucking well love this trailer. The VFX is beautiful, and I know some Snyderverse fans have tried to mock the VFX and mock this movie. Sorry, guys and girls, or however you like to be identified as, this looks fucking peak. It looks brilliant, and I can't wait to see the full theatrical version of this movie. One of the things which is very interesting, by the way, we finally saw the badass that is Viola Davis, aka Amanda Waller. What is she doing in this movie? Well, she's the one who recruits the Justice Society of America to get Black Adam. Now, Hawkman says, find the cell that can hold him and we'll get him for you. But what does Waller really want here? Does she want to stop someone very dangerous with really, lots of powers that can, really harm the world? Or does she want to use him? There have been rumors ever since this movie was greenlit that James Gunn's good wife, who plays Amelia Harcourt in The Suicide Squad and in Peacemaker, a more prominent role in Peacemaker, will bring with her Task Force X to help capture Black Adam. It looks like that will happen at the end of the movie. But as I say, why does Amanda Waller actually want him? I know, but I'm not going to tell you. But it's very exciting. But is this still the case? Now, the rumor was true. Amelia Harcourt and Task Force X were going to capture Black Adam at the end of this movie. But have they made changes to that? Well, I don't think they've done significant reshoots. Now, we know that The Rock told us a few months ago that they went back just to finish up the movie. And some people believe that that might have been to add Henry Cavill. We still don't know if Henry Cavill will have any involvement, either a little or a lot. I would say if he's in it, it's a little, but we don't know. We don't know, but I really, really enjoyed this trailer. I felt more emotion from this final trailer. The Rock is epic. The supporting cast looks fucking amazing. Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate looks like the fucking Don. Aldis Hodge, you're gonna love him as Hawkman. I love how he thinks he's just going to, outpower Black Adam, and Black Adam just grabs him. That's fucking hilarious for all the right reasons. This is a really good movie. As I keep on saying, it's not the best thing ever from what I saw in the test screening, but certainly it's a very good, solid movie. And I think what's interesting about this movie, nobody really knows how well this is going to do in the box office, because the past few DCEU movies have tanked, mainly because of the pandemic and quality. James Gunn's The Suicide Squad didn't do well in movie theatres. I think without the pandemic, it would have done really well in movie theatres because it's a really good DC movie. No question about that. Birds of Prey is insane. It's full of extremism. It's not a bad movie, though, in places. Wonder Woman 84, we know how bad that movie was. But because everyone loves Gal's Wonder Woman, I think that would have made 500 to 700 million at the box office without the COVID pandemic. But the films, for one reason or the other, haven't done well. Now, people think there's a lot of pressure on this movie. There's not really. Because if they're going to start this franchise again, there's not much pressure on this movie. Of course, Zaslav and Warner Brothers Discovery want to make money from this content. And if this film does do well, that may kind of arc their decision-making to a different direction. I don't know. All I can say is that what The Rock and his director have done with this movie is really, really good. It is one of the better DCEU movies. And yes, I can tell you from the test screening, at the very least, this is better than any MCU Phase 4 movie. It's not even a debate. So what did you notice from this trailer? Because I'm not very, very good at noticing things and looking at Easter eggs and things like that. So I need your help. So please, don't be shy. Don't be shy. Don't let the big gob and the overinflated opinion, intimidate you. Please let me know in the comments below. And you can find me at Movies TV Mad, and, go on my timeline and let me know things as well on there that, I didn't see, because I didn't see a lot. But anyway, we're going to read a couple of articles from Screen Rant about this trailer. But yeah, I really, as you can see, I was really enjoying this trailer. And I'm more hyped now. I'm more hyped for this movie than I was before. That's interesting, because we're starved of DC content. We had the Batman earlier this year, which was really, really good. Did good box office, good, solid box office. Matt Reeves and his Batman will be back for more. The Joker will be back for more. And will we get more Black Adam content? It all depends on the box office. This is very, very interesting. Anyway, the first Black Adam trailer reveals Amanda Waller's return and villain Sabbac. With only a month to go before it finally releases in theatres, the final trailer for Dwayne Johnson's upcoming Black Adam movie has been released by Andy, whose surname I can never announce, or pronounce even. So we're not going to bother. The final trailer for Dwayne Johnson's upcoming Black Adam has been released, revealing another glimpse of the DCEU's new anti-hero. Black Adam stands as one of the DCEU films that have been in the works the longest, and it features Shazam's greatest enemy as the leading character. Initially, Johnson's character was going to make his debut in the Shazam film that starred Zachary Levi as the DC hero. However, once Johnson was tapped as Black Adam, he pitched the idea to have his character appear in a separate film to help build up the foundation of the DC character. Now, this is something a lot of DC fans have criticised The Rock for, like he wants all the attention. But you know what? Even though I think it would have been a really cool Shazam movie to have him as the villain, I think this is actually a really good idea too. And we'll see how it works out, how you, the fans, kind of judge it. Black Adam serves as the origin story for Tef Adam, who was a Kardug slave until his life was changed forever when he was given godlike powers that turned him into the DC icon. Despite being depicted as a villain in the comics, the DCEU iteration is going in a different direction with Johnson's character. For his live-action debut, Black Adam will operate as an anti-hero in the DCEU, with traditional heroes like the Justice Society of America coming after him. To be clear, I think I can let you know this little spoiler. Although he becomes an anti-hero, his history in the DCEU is actually one of a villain. But they're going to evolve the character in this film into an anti-hero for sure. Leading up to this week's NFL kickoff game between the Buffalo Bills and the Los Angeles Rams, I'll tell you what, I can never get into American sport. Even their fucking names are cringe, aren't they? Anyway, Johnson confirmed that a final Black Adam trailer would be premiering during the match. As promised, the trailer for the upcoming DCEU film has now been released by Warner Brothers and can be seen below. There are a lot of significant takeaways from the Black Adam trailer as it reveals huge looks from the DCEU project. Back in July, it was confirmed that the Suicide Squad star Viola Davis would return as Amanda Waller in Black Adam. The final trailer reveals that for reasons yet to be explained, Amanda's return is related to Black Adam himself, and she's working together with the Justice Society of America. The footage also gives a closer look at central villain of the story, Ishmael Gregor, aka Sabak, who is played by Aladdin star Marwan Kenzari. Prior to the trailer coming out, fans had only gotten to see Sabak through Black Adam toys. Even though the wait for Black Adam has spanned several years, the final trailer stresses once again that it will have been worth it. From the incredibly well-designed costumes, I have to admit, the costumes and the VFX look stunning, and the massive VFX shots to the overall story, Black Adam feels like a game changer for the DCEU. Well, I'm not sure I would go that far, but certainly I think people are going to like it. But I thought people were going to like certain other films and they didn't. So I thought, Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice was another The Dark Knight. I was wrong. I think it's huge, but a lot of people didn't like it. As the franchise has been going through some ups and downs over the years, with Black Adam spin-off projects already being considered, well, they're not being considered, well, apart from The Rock, and he doesn't have any green lighting powers, so we'll see. It's all about the box office. This franchise is just getting started as the film gets ready for its release in October. This franchise is not just getting started. Potentially, this franchise could be over after Blue Beetle, but we'll have to wait and see. So listen, I'm very happy with this trailer. I'm excited for this movie. I'm glad Viola Davis as Amanda Waller will be in this film. It's not the big cameo reveal we wanted, but she is very awesome. She's a great character in the comics, and Viola was born to play this character. And there is a big arc for Amanda Waller involving the capture of Black Adam in this movie, and it's very exciting if they stick with it for the future of the DCEU, if there still is going to be a future. And we stick with the subject of Black Adam on today's show. Why Black Adam is a perfect entry point for new Justice Society fans. Exclusive. Aldis Hodge says Black Adam starts in exactly the right spot for new fans who don't know who the Justice Society of America members are, by Terry Phillips of Screen Rant. Black Adam star Aldis Hodge says the upcoming DC film will serve as an excellent entry point for new fans who know little about the Justice Society of America. Set to feature Dwayne Johnson in the titular role, Black Adam represents the 11th big screen entry in the DC Extended Universe, which began with 2013's Man of Steel. Initially, it was intended for Johnson to debut his character as the main villain in 2019 Shazam, though it was later decided that Johnson would headline his own film and his character would be retooled as an anti-hero instead. Again, Screen Rant are going with... I think that Screen Rant as a company publication tell their journalists what to say at the beginning of each article. So, I'll repeat, this film is not retooling him as an anti-hero. Well, it is when he has his evolution. But at the beginning of this film, he has the history. He's been a villain already. And now he goes on this, evolution, this new journey. However, Johnson's Black Adam will not be the only superpowered character to appear in the upcoming film. Delving deep into DC comic lore, Black Adam will also introduce audiences to a new live-action interpretation of the superhero team known as the Justice Society of America, or JSA. First created in 1940, the JSA has previously been depicted as either an alternate Earth incarnation of the Justice League or even as an early World War II era precursor to DC's other famed super team. The JSA has also appeared in various television incarnations in Smallville, which is the best live-action version we've seen thus far. Legends of Tomorrow, they did a crap version, and Stargirl, which is not bad. In Black Adam, the JSA is set to consist of Hodge's Hawkman, Noah Centinneo's Atom Smasher, Quintessa Swindell's Cyclone, and Pierce Brosnan's Dr. Fate. According to Hodge, however, it would seem that fans will not necessarily need to be familiar with the JSA's history to enjoy their presence in Black Adam. Recently, Screen Rant caught up with the actor at the Black Adam trailer event and spoke to him about his role, suggesting that the film will start in a great place for people who already know and love the characters. He also hints that it will make a solid entry point for viewers less familiar with the existing lore. Check out his comments below. And he's got a lot to say. There is a lot of history to figure out about where to start with this character. Talking to Jamais, the director, about what the direction of the narrative was, it really came down to what we know and love as his fans, but then also we find him with Black Adam in this space. Where we start is a great place for people who know and love Hawkman and what Black Adam is. But it's also great for people who are looking to discover, when it comes to the Justice Society, who we are and how we live in this world with Black Adam. If you're a fan, you're going to get what you want, you're going to get what you need. If you're not a fan, if you don't know anything about this, you're going to get everything you need to know to learn about what this character is, and you're going to become a fan. So for me, they started this character and this team in the exact right spot for making this whole thing just take off. Now, Aldis is spot on here. What they do with this film is great for us people who know the JSA and Hawkman especially. But if you don't know these characters, this is a great entry point for you as well. So this is huge. I'm excited to see what you lot make of this movie, because it's an interesting point in the DCEU. We don't even know if this franchise has a future anymore. How well will this film do? Will everyone embrace Aldis as Hawkman and the rest of the Justice Society of America? We'll have to wait and see. As both DC and Marvel continue to expand their cinematic universe, you know what? I'm sick and tired of these fucking MCU shows having to name drop the MCU all the time. We don't fucking care. We're here to talk about DC. They often have to delve ever deeper into the treasure trove of existing characters and find meaningful ways to introduce them to late audiences, while established comic book fans are often a vocal and highly visible cross-section of the movie-going audience. Studios also need to cater to a much broader audience to increase their chances of box office success. The task of balancing these two competing needs of appealing to established fans and making the property accessible to new audiences is not always easy for filmmakers and can sometimes impede the quality of the finished film if not handled correctly. Excuse me. Hodge, however, seems confident that Black Adam will succeed where so many other films have stumbled. With any luck, Hodge's confidence will also serve to reassure DC fans concerned about the direction of the DCEU franchise as a whole. Not only has the DC film universe experienced its fair share of critical and commercial setbacks, but more recent upsets have also occurred on the back of the recent Warner Bros. Discovery merger and the cancellation of multiple projects, including Batgirl. Right. Batgirl was the only DCEU project to be cancelled, and it's not a big upset. Most DCEU fans understand that the situation was simple. You know, Zaslav said, no, Blue Beetle is not going on HBO Max. That's ridiculous. It's got to go theatrically. It looks good enough to go theatrical. So that's interesting that they were going to go HBO Max, but that film apparently has the quality to go theatrically, but Batgirl hasn't. But there are other reasons why Batgirl was canned as well. Because listen, if they did want to, you know, continue with the multiverse strategy. Batgirl would have got more money to make it the quality it needed to be to go into the theatrical system. So there are multiple reasons why this film was cancelled, including Batgirl. Johnson and Hodges' new DC film will have a lot riding on it when Black Adam finally hits theatres. So look, October, very exciting. Black Adam hits the cinema screens, but we will get Access Media reactions, I'm assuming either by the end of this month or the beginning of next month. That's what I'm looking forward to. Will they shield the movie? Will they be honest about the movie? Will they hate the movie? Journalists always seem to be a lot more honest about DCEU movies, although they lied about Birds of Prey and they lied about Wonder Woman 84, pretending they're the bestest movies ever, but they wasn't. But hopefully we get an honest reaction. Considering I've seen a test screening of this movie, I'll tell you if they're bullshitting or not. But one thing's for sure, I love the trailer, the final trailer for Black Adam, and I think this film is going to be a lot of fun for you, the fans. So this is an interesting article from Screen Rant again, and by a journalist of lots of names. Listen to this. Marcelo de Souza Silverio Lete. I think that's how you say his name. So this is what he's got to say. The Flash will end DCEU Snyder canon debate, but you may not like it. So look, this geezer thinks he knows something. Let's see what he's got to say. The Flash is of extreme importance for the DCEU's future, in part because it will settle the franchise's biggest Justice League canon debate. Now, I'm going to make an assumption. I don't proofread these things. I look at the titles and I think that's interesting. Maybe the guys and girls will like me to read this out to them. But I'm going under the assumption that this person still thinks the multiverse strategy is happening, which it is not. But let them carry on in their delusion anyway. More than just being the first live-action solo Flash movie, The Flash is set to answer a lot of questions regarding the DCEU's future. No, this film is not going to set the DCEU's future, right? Or maybe he's right in a way. This will confirm that the multiverse strategy is no longer going to happen, because originally Walter Hamada was going to use this film to relaunch the DCEU and set a new timeline. That's no longer going to happen. So, The Flash is set to answer a lot of questions regarding the DCEU's future, including whether Zack Snyder's Justice League is canon. With no announced plans regarding the Justice League following the 2017 Justice League film and the Snyder Cut, it has become difficult to predict the future of the DC films let's say it again. It has become difficult to predict the future of the DC films past 2023. Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav has teased the 10-year plan for the DCEU. And whatever the new management has planned for the Justice League franchise will most likely start with Flash. Yeah, I think, look, we know from David F. Sandberg they're not touching Shazam! Fury of the Gods. It's the Flash movie and the Aquaman movie that are going to be touched, you know. So it's going to be interesting what Zaslav wants done with them. More than a year has passed since the release of Zack Snyder's Justice League, and yet the status of the DCEU's Justice League remains very much a mystery. Justice League 2017 was a box office disaster that put the future of the Justice League on the big screen in check, followed by a vocal online campaign for Warner Brothers to release the Zack Snyder Cut of the film. It did not seem likely that the Snyder Cut would be released, considering the studio was trying to move on from the Justice League fiasco. A fiasco the studio created themselves. If they only allowed Zack Snyder's art to be completed, they could have done their own thing and moved on from Snyder cleanly, neatly, and tidy. But the HBO Max launch and the streaming service's need for more original content led to Zack Snyder's Justice League finally becoming a reality. Originally planned to be released as a 4-part series, and I made the point at that time, when they went from a four-part series to a movie, I think something changed. I think the 4-part series was going to be part of 3 seasons or 2 more seasons of Zack Snyder's Justice League. They were going to complete his arc. Then they went from episodes to a movie. Now, let's not forget, this film is actually chopped up in chapters. Now, according to Zack, this is to make things a bit easier for the fans to know when they can stop watching. But we know these days we can stop watching something and it takes us back where we left off. Clearly, something went wrong between AT&T, Stanky, and Snyder, and they decided not to go with what they were going to do to continue and finish off his arc. That's what I think anyway, and that's what I heard from many, many good people. The cut arrived on HBO Max on March 21st, say that again, March 2021, as a 4-hour feature film that differed from the theatrical cut in many notable ways. Of the DC superheroes featured in Justice League, Jason Momoa's Aquaman and Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman were the only ones to have a solo movie released after the 2017 team-up film. Considering that Wonder Woman 84 was a prequel set decades before the events of Justice League, Aquaman had been so far the only DCEU movie to actually explore the story of a Justice League member after the Justice League film. That said, Aquaman was released before the Snyder Cut, which means whatever impact Zack Snyder's Justice League may have had on the future of the Justice League heroes has yet to be felt. There are currently no plans for more Zack Snyder's DC films, and Warner Bros. Reportedly considers the theatrical cut as the canon version. Right. Basically, we've heard this before, the only members of Warner Bros. Who consider Justice League canon are the people who decided to make Justice League, to urinate and crap all over Zack's perfect movie. The new studio do not look at Justice League as canon to the DCEU. They see it as a fucking stupid decision. They probably think the whole thing's a fucking mess and want to move away from it. So, let's carry on. All of that considered, The Flash should make clear which Justice League cut the DCEU filmmakers consider canon, as Barry Allen's powers and previous experiences as a superhero in the Snyder Cut differ a lot from what had been established in the theatrical cut. Considering it's a 4-hour runtime, Zack Snyder's Justice League would always be different from the theatrical cut. That said, the differences between Zack Snyder's Justice League and the 2017 Justice League go far beyond the runtime. The Snyder Cut plays much more as a sequel to the stories of Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman Dawn of Justice, with both thematic and visual callbacks to moments from Snyder's first 2 DC films. The Snyder Cut has a considerable amount of world building that was not present in the theatrical cut, especially regarding Apocalypse and Darkseid. In fact, Darkseid does not appear in the theatrical Justice League cut, while Zack Snyder's Justice League features Darkseid in several scenes. The 2017 Justice League ends without many loose ends, except for a Legion of Doom setup in the post-credit scene. Zack Snyder's Justice League, on the other hand, ends with Darkseid getting his armada ready to attack Earth. Another major difference is that Silas Stone, Cyborg's father, dies in Zack Snyder's Justice League, but is alive at the end of the theatrical cut. Now, these are good points, so what way are we going to go here? Well, it's an interesting conversation. I don't think it's as interesting and controversial as it used to be. What's canon, the Snyder Cut or Justice League, because we don't know if this franchise, I repeat, has a future or not. But it's a big thing. If you embrace Justice League, then obviously Cyborg's father, Silas Stone, is still alive. If you embrace the Snyderverse, then he's dead. There are also a few differences regarding Flash as a character. In the theatrical Justice League cut, Flash says he does not have any experience in fighting. There is also no mention of time travel in the 2017 Justice League. However, in the Snyder Cut, Flash seems to have more experience as a superhero, including the fact he has already time traveled. Barry mentions that he can bend time around him when achieving a certain speed, and later travels back in time to prevent the Mother Boxes from destroying Earth. In hindsight, the DCEU already contradicted the Snyder Cut in at least 2 major ways. One is that Mera says in Zack Snyder's Justice League that her father is dead. However, in Aquaman, Mera's father is very much alive. Yet, Aquaman's a very interesting film. I think this film was trying to slightly move away from the Snyderverse. I mean, things like that were dumb. Like, she's saying he's dead. But let's be honest here, by the way, before I run away with myself. The Aquaman movie was released before they decided to release the Snyder Cut. That movie was released a few months after Justice League, and it was released in 2018. So they thought the Snyder Cut would never be a thing, that Zack's version of the movie would never be a thing. We'd already seen Justice League, and they decided, basically, they wanted Dolph Lundgren as her father, so they went that way. They didn't know. They didn't, because Warner Brothers Pictures, who were running this thing at the time, and Walter Hamada, AT&T hadn't taken over yet. And they didn't know that Stanky and AT&T were going to kibosh their own plans and bring back Snyder for the Snyder Cut. So it's very, very messy. because AT&T were just desperate to launch HBO Max. They thought HBO Max was their future, and it isn't now. King Nero's played by Dolph Lundgren. The other potential inconsistency is Superman's cameo in Shazam. Superman, whose actual face did not appear in Shazam, was wearing his classic red and blue suit in the movie. However, in the Snyder Cut, Superman chooses to keep wearing his black and white suit, even after returning to his everyday Clark Kent life. Obviously, the King Nero situation is much more meaningful than Superman's suit. It showcases how difficult it would be for the Snyder Cut to be granted as canon to the DCEU. Still, both Aquaman and Shazam were released before Zack Snyder's Justice League, a point I've already made. Zack Snyder's Justice League was even announced, and there has yet to be an official confirmation of which Justice League version is canon for future films. So, yes, this is always going to be a very, very interesting debate until the studio or a film says that's canon or this canon. And whatever happens is going to blow up Twitter, because everything fucking blows up Twitter in multiple fandoms these days. Obviously, it's a big deal. Now, if I was running DC Studios, whoever that's going to be, and if I was David Zaslav, I think, Justice League, shitty rushed movie to kind of do away with what we were going to do originally. Cavill's upper lip hacking. Do I really want to make that fucking film canon? Now, a sane fucking person would say no. But are the people running this studio now even more insane than Toby Emmerich? I don't think so. I think very intelligent people there. David Zaslav is making the right decisions. But what will be canon in the Flash movie, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you. In the version I saw, shall I tell you? Shall I tell you? Is it a spoiler? I'm not going to tell you. No. I'm not going to tell you. It's not fair. I think most people will be happy to see what happens in the version of the Flash movie that I saw. But we live in interesting times, and a test screening is not a completed work of art. It's an unfinished work of art, and they want your feedback and advice on what's right and what's wrong with the movie. And that's why you're invited to go there. I keep on saying to people, it's not a preview, it's not a treat. It's good to be able to see a movie, right, like that. And so I'd say in that version, it was pretty clear what was going to be canon, and I think it was the right decision. But we don't know what Zaslav and his DC Studios president are going to decide to do with this movie. Look, they've got several decisions to make here. Do we retool Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom and the Flash movie and reset this franchise and try and fix it yet again? Do we just release these fucking movies, get them out of the way? If they make a profit, they make a profit. We don't fucking care. We are focusing on the future. Of course, they want to make money. But the focus is the future. So we don't know what their plan is yet. But definitely, the Flash movie, the version I saw, definitely makes it clear what's canon and what's not. But as I say, it's always been a very interesting debate, because Warner Brothers Pictures did this. Toby Emmerich did this by making the decision to go back, drive Snyder out, and try and make a happy, clappy, brighter version of Justice League. You can't cheat your way through success. The modern audience are very intelligent people. I find that out myself through running this YouTube channel, being on Twitter. You can't fool the fucking public. I'm sorry. So this is why Justice League went wrong. Because it was a barrel of rush shit, which they deludedly, arrogantly thought they could make $1 billion to $2 billion from. Ridiculous. So we'll see what happens with the future of the DCEU. You know what I think should happen. You know I know what happened in the test screening that I saw. I'm happy with that, so you know which way really that's gone. But changes are coming to the Flash movie and Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. And right now, none of us know what those changes will be. Warner Brothers Discovery are fighting back over the closure of Batgirl. This is an article from The Hollywood Reporter and Alex Werpin. Warner Brothers Discovery CFO, Batgirl shutdown coverage was blown out of proportion to its business impact. Yes, it was blown out of proportion because it starred a Hispanic lead. And this is what these extremists and propaganda merchants, it's all they care about. That's the only reason they're all fucking calling Zaslav a clown. He's no clown. He knows exactly what he's doing. I am glad to see more rational approach to content spend, Gunnar Wiedenfels said at a conference while noting that the company is committed to spending more than ever on TV shows and films. Let me just put my charger in because I've got to be excited today. I forgot to charge my phone, so we're going to do that. Right, let's go. Sorry about that, very unprofessional. The show must go on now. Warner Brothers Discovery's surprise shelving of Batgirl was blown out of proportion a little bit according to company CFO Gunnar Wiedenfels. Listen, Batgirl's a very popular character, let's not forget, and people would of course been disappointed that this film was being shelved. I get that. People didn't know the lack of quality. Listen, I'm sure it still would have been an okay movie, and I'm sure Leslie Grace would have been awesome, and it would have been great to see Keaton and all of that. But ultimately, the test audiences have already told us that this was a CW pilot at best, and that simply isn't good enough. I don't blame them for shelving it. The executive speaking at a Bank of America conference Thursday said that while the company has made tough choices with regard to its content investment and strategy, the focus on what was supposed to be an HBO Max original film was pushed too far by media coverage, with Warner's remaining committed to growing its content business. Clearly, the course corrections making changes quickly were we don't agree with the track that Warner Media was on. That took a lot of courage and execution early. Wiedenfels said, adding of Batgirl specifically, I don't think it is unusual. We are a creative industry, and one of the elements of creativity is that there is judgment and views on what the potential of what a certain piece of IP might be. Now let's look back at what he just said, because this is interesting. Clearly, the course correction making changes quickly where we don't agree with the track that Warner Media was on. What do they mean by that? Well, what they mean by that is Warner Media, as I said earlier, and I've said it multiple times on other videos, were focusing on HBO Max. Streaming is the future. Cinema is dead. No. Because, let me just explain something else that happened the other day. Paramount confirmed that they'll be embracing the theatrical system as well. So, Zaslav was fucking right. He's the first one who did this. Came in, said Batgirl is cancelled, it's not good enough to transfer to theatrical. Theatrical is going to be our focus. A few weeks later, after Zaslav's been getting pelters for doing the right thing, now the CEO of Paramount is saying that they're going to be focusing on the theatrical system as well. And of course, Paramount is pretty much Tom Cruise's studio. You know, not officially, he doesn't own it, but it pretty much is his studio. It's the studio he works from predominantly. You know, Top Gun Maverick, one of the biggest films of all time now, biggest films of the year, destroying Kevin Feige, Marvel Studios and the MCU, which is a beautiful thing to see as well. And so, yes, this is what they mean. When they say they didn't agree with what Warner Media were doing, they didn't agree that HBO Max and streaming were going to be the future, because they're not the future. Now, everyone's moving away from streaming. That's no surprise to me, and I called it, didn't I? I've said it many times on these videos, and I was right. Now, I don't see Disney doing this. I think that because they've invested so much on Disney Plus, they're going to have to keep on, you know, doing stuff on Disney Plus like it's their future. I think it could be their future, but it's not the kind of future they envisioned. Weinfeld said that the company's creative leaders like film chiefs Michael DeLuca and Pamela Abby make the calls on content decisions, but that my team has helped them by providing financial data points where possible and a framework to assess the potential from a financial perspective. Listen, Abby and DeLuca didn't make this decision about Batgirl. David Zaslav and his team made that decision. No question about that. He noted that while a lot of the headlines are focusing on content as a source of cost savings, the company expects most of its synergies to be outside of content. Warner Brothers Discovery took an $825 million write-down on content in its last quarter, which didn't account for Batgirl. Going forward, Wiedenfels says that the company is spending more money than it ever has when considering the combined spend of the two companies. Though he added, I'm glad to see a more rational approach to content spend. We have made some course corrections, but we are in business to create content and tell fascinating stories, and we will fund that, he added. Wiedenfels also said that Warner Bros. Discovery CEO David Zaslav is still engaged in forging an overarching strategy, but that things are beginning to click. The first priority has been to get the team in place, and I think David has now established an almost complete strong management team. Wiedenfels said, adding that it took a lot of courage to make decisions and quickly get the company on track that we want to see on. But there are also opportunities to be mined from the company's trove of IP. I think there are a couple of clear priorities. DC stands out. So the CFO of Warner Bros. Discovery has said in this article, has said officially at the American Bank, where they had this conference, that I think there are a couple of clear priorities. DC stands out. So DC is their priority. That's very good news for you and me. Wiedenfels said, alluding to the search for someone to lead the comic book brand's empire. As you know, David is still looking for someone to lead that. Specifically, the wizarding world of Harry Potter has huge potential if we can get it right. So I think it's pretty clear that the wizarding world, the Harry Potter universe, and DC are the priority. That's where they see embedding their cinematic future. So that's very exciting. If you're a Potter fan, if you're a Wizarding World fan, and I know that David Zaslav wants to work closely with J.K. Rowling, because no matter her politics, no matter her extremism, don't worry about any of that. She created something amazing. And just like, HBO are working closely now with the creator of Game of Thrones, George R.R. Martin, and we've seen the results of House of Dragons. It's really good now, unlike the shit show of the final couple of seasons of Game of Thrones. So, they're going to be working closely with Rowling to make some amazing Harry Potter content, but DC is their priority. I always knew that, but it's good to hear it confirmed, and it's exciting. But clearly, if you look at it from a risk and reward perspective, leveraging some of those existing brands improves your return profile. And looking further out, Wiedenfels showed signs of optimism and caution. On the one hand, he said, I think the opportunity is enormous. I view this as a Boeing 747 flying on one engine, noting all of the potential options on the table. But on the other hand, he said that financial data his team accessed after the merger did not align with some of what they had access to pre-merger, forcing an adjustment. In other words, they're saying that AT&T bullshitted them about the company's financial prowess and financial success. This happens a lot with mergers. This is why they've had to realign their ambitions. But I wouldn't be concerned. DC is their priority, and they're willing to spend big on it. That's the one thing, because they know the more they spend, the more they make. On Potter, because that has lots of potential, by the way, but DC is huge, and they're going to focus on DC, but they're also going to focus on going back to making great theatrical movies that have nothing to do with franchises, DC Comics, or the wizarding world of Harry Potter. So very interesting there. I am excited for the future of DC under Zaslav, and whoever this new DC Studios president will be, Zaslav will do it. Zaslav is a successful business manager, troubleshooter, and he will forge a very exciting future for DC live action. This has been Movies TV Mad and Friday's show with me, Mick, exclusively your host with the most. Imagine it. Every other YouTube channel you go to doesn't have me. I feel bad for you. But at least once a day you get to see the Don. So please remember, I am your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. Please like, share, let everyone know about the content I do. If you like it and you want to support me, follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad, and I will see you in the next video. Until we see each other again, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen.